Hey there, it's Julie Hutchison here from Think, Be, Do Leadership, and it's day 13 of Team on Fire, how to grow your team, grow their confidence and their capability, and grow your confidence as a leader so that your business can grow. So what are we doing? Well, today it's all in your head, so they say. And what I want to talk about is the fact that when we're working with people, we find often that delegation is a thing. And people say, oh, I can't delegate, or I find it really difficult to delegate. And what we're noticing is that a lot of the issue, not all of the issue, but one of the big issues is around the fact that I know how to do something and it feels easy to me and it feels difficult for other people. And I think that's one of the things I want to talk about today. So if you're listening live, say hello. And if you're on replay, put hashtag replay, and your comments we can check later. So you are brilliant at what you do. I can imagine. You look like you are. I get it. Maybe you've done it for a long time. Maybe you grew the business from nothing. And so you know how to do every single job in the whole place. And you do it like you're on fire. Like the back of your hand, really. You don't have to think about it. You absolutely know when it's done right. You know when it's done wrong. And it's obvious to you how things should be, how things should look, how they should go. And to you, maybe it doesn't feel that difficult either, because there it is. It's just making a cake, or it's just driving a car, or whatever the thing is. And that word comes in a lot. But when you try and delegate to somebody else, they seem to have a lot more trouble than you. And maybe they find it super difficult and a little bit confusing. And maybe you ask them to do it and they kind of seem stuck and they don't move forward. They don't try it. They don't feel confident to try it. And you're thinking, it's not that hard. I wish they'd just give it a go. Maybe they just try and see. And then even if it's wrong, it doesn't really matter. That's a whole nother point, actually, but we're not going to talk about that today. But they still don't do it. And then if they did do it, you look at it and you think, oh God, that isn't really that good. And it's hard to see why they haven't done it the way that you obviously asked them to do. And so what I want to look at is the issue of the fact that you know how to do it like the back of your hand. So going back to that, yeah, I know how to do it. I can do it. And this is my thing. But you don't want to do it anymore. And so we have to be able to pass that. We have to be able to delegate that to somebody else. But the problem is, very often, although there are more, but this is one very, very big problem, is that it's all in your head, right in there. And not only is it in your head, it's not in this part of your head, not like where you're like having to pull it out and think about it and you're really conscious of it. It's right deep down somewhere because you've done this for years. You know how to do it. So it's deep in the, I'm pointing here, I'm not a brain surgeon, but that's what I think it is. So deep down in the kind of like, oh, I've thrown it into the files in the back of my brain. This is me imagining what a brain's actually looking like, something like that. Deep down there in the files of your brain, where it's like it's kind of just there and you know it. So it's like when you drive to work and you get there and you think to yourself, I have no idea how I drove here. My brain knows how to do it, but I was not conscious of that. So you're doing it unconsciously. You're doing it because you know how to do it without even thinking. But let's translate that to somebody who isn't or hasn't had 30 years of doing it, or didn't create the process in the first place, or doesn't know what that looks like because they've never actually achieved the whole thing before. And you're asking them to carry on and do something. And quite often we use the word just. We're like, oh, just drive the car or just make the cake, because to us it seems simple. When in reality, that level or chunk at which we are dividing up the cake of what things are, let's say in pieces, life into pieces, is so big to that person that it's overwhelming, it's confusing, and it just looks like a box. And what I mean by that is, imagine somebody gives you a present. Okay, here you are, giving you a present now. And it's a present and it's going to be really nice. And you're going to love it, and it's Christmas. And what's the first thing you want to do? You want to look inside the box. What's in the box? What's in the box? Because the present in and of itself might look lovely. It might look beautiful. So the finished thing that you're telling somebody about might look beautiful. And they're like, oh, that looks great. But they don't know what's in the box. They don't know how to make the thing that you're talking about. And whereas you do know it, but the thing is, it's actually really hard to get it from the back to the front and then out of our heads, because we've packaged it like a present in our head. We've packaged it into a box, and inside that box we don't need to look anymore because we kind of just know. But people who are going to take this job on for you need to look in the box. Otherwise it just looks like the present, or maybe it looks like a pile of poop, maybe that's the way they see it, but it's a box of something of which they don't know what's inside. Yeah. Or if they're doing, they're having to sort of look inside and go, oh right, okay, it's this, it's this, it's this. But sometimes when they open the box that you've given them with this lovely present of a delegated item, there's nothing in the box. It's like, oh, hold on a second. It looked good. It looked okay. It was a bit overwhelming, but I think it looked good. But there's nothing inside to tell me how to do this. And this is often one of the things that the mistakes that managers and leaders make, is that they give them the big box, but they don't tell them what pieces make up it. It's like they don't know the recipe. They don't know how to do it because it's chunked at such a high level. It just looks like the outer wrapping. Okay, so I'll give you an example. If you're going to learn to drive a car, drive. There's your big box of outer wrapping. Like, there's your car, off you go. I don't think my dad said that to me when he said we were going to learn to drive. But that's the problem. That some people might say, well, there you go, off you go, drive the car. Or might say, I would like for my birthday a caterpillar cake. That's what my daughter said once. And I just want that, with no recipe, no understanding of what it looks like. It's just like, it's a cake, I've got to make it. And the word just comes in because when we know how to do something, it seems small, it seems easy, it seems like you've chunked it to the right level. And that package would explain, oh, it's a car, you go drive it. Yeah. But it's not, because that person has never experienced driving the car. It's like when you're 17, you look at the car, you think that looks great, and then you get in, sit in the seat, and you're like, oh my God, hold on, I've got to turn the steering wheel, I've got to look in the mirror, I've got to press the pedals. Oh, there's more than one pedal. How do I do it? What is this thing in the middle? How does that work? And so suddenly we're consciously incompetent of our lack of, consciously conscious of, that's ridiculous, what we're trying to say. We are conscious of our incompetence at that point. So we lose confidence, we feel rubbish, we don't want to ask you because you made it sound really easy, and now I feel like a fool. That's not just me, hopefully. But I feel like a fool. I don't want to say, maybe because you said it was easy and you seem to make it look easy, and I don't know now. So when we do this and we chunk at the wrong level, we give people this box, this thing at the wrong chunk. We frighten them, we scare them, we paralyze them. And the problem is, then you might have the issue of like, well, hold on, that's how my brain is thinking. I can't get it out of my head because to me, it's just drive the car. I can't remember how I started to learn it. I can't remember what the recipe looks like. I just make it. I just do it. And so it can be very difficult to pull out of your head and break down the pieces that you need to help somebody to know what's inside the package. What is this thing and how do I do it? I'm going to rummage around and find all the pieces in here. Bit like a jigsaw puzzle, but without having all the pieces. Just looking at the made jigsaw puzzle and going, that's lovely, but how do I put this darn thing together? And so one of the things that good leaders and good bosses do is to understand that if we want to delegate something, that we have to look at whether or not we're packaging the present at the right size. Have we pulled out of our head what we need to in a way that we can structure it and show somebody the recipe, the route, the way in which we have to do this, and break it down into pieces that they understand, break it down into pieces that they can learn, and then put the jigsaw together again, rather than just chucking the package and saying, oh, it's just driving the car. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So it's super, super important that we ask ourselves the question, did I just use the word just? I think, it is just in my vocabulary when I tell people to do things, when I'm delegating, where I'm hoping to delegate. Am I setting myself up to fail and setting up my staff member to fail because I'm chunking it at the wrong size. I'm making it a present with nothing inside. I don't show them how to do the thing, and I don't get it out of my head onto either a piece of paper or whatever you want to put it on. But just unpacking, that's the right word, unpacking that genius that you've got in here, that natural ability to do the thing that you do, but that you don't want to do anymore, that you need to get rid of. And therefore you've got to unpack it so that somebody else has half a chance of success of actually doing it. Hopefully that makes sense, because if you do this, then the people around you are going to be able to understand how to do the things you want them to do and to gain a confidence in doing them, because they know the routine, they know what's going on, they know how to put it all together again, and they understand that you've told them at a level that they can grasp and not overwhelm them and not confuse them. So it will make a massive difference to whether or not the person you've delegated to actually goes ahead and does it, and actually does a good job doing it and feels good about doing it, and maybe come and ask you for more. In which case you'll be more free to do whatever you want to do and build your business. So that's enough for today, I think. So the big thing about delegation is it all in your head? Do you need to unscramble the spaghetti, which is why there's a picture of spaghetti, that is in your head that has just made you forget how to do it and not explain this to people? Do we need to be better at actually pulling it out, unwinding the spaghetti, unpacking your ideas, unpacking your genius, and being able to pass that on in meaningful bite-sized chunks to people? Good question. Yes or no? And when you do that, you'll be able to grow your business, because then they don't need you anymore, because you've unpacked your IP, you've unpacked your brain, and you've given it out to other people. Okay, if you want some help doing it, then please give me a shout, because we are here to help leaders to have better communication skills, to unpack their genius, and to be able to delegate better, to grow teams that will be able to support you in the goals in your business. So give me a shout, message me, and we can help you to make this happen in your business. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we'll be on day 14, and we will see you again then about the same time, about 1 o'clock. Take care.